Nigerians that will enhance capacity, facilitate collaboration, and strengthen clinical research efforts in the region. Stakeholders who converged on Lagos, Nigeria for the annual scientific meeting of WANETAM believe that focused training is the most important for the development of West Africa region. WANETAM coordinator Professor Solumeni Bope and the lead of the cross-cutting work package WANETAM, Dembo Kante, submitted that the group believed in cross-cutting training to enhance professional development and scientific competency in clinical trials and research support. On a spot, a consultant with the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research and fellow, Nigeria Academy of Science, Professor Richard Adegbola, who criticized the model of cut and paste partner in West Africa because of lack of capacity, said there's the need for training locals on how to do research to generate credible and useful data that are more relevant in the globe and have direct applications to the African settings. The co-chair, Professor Safatu Dumbo from Malaria Research and Training Center, Mali, said WANETAM will continue to train Nigerians on how to combat tuberculosis, AIDS, and malaria. Other speakers, including Professor Alfred Amambua Ngwe from MRC Unit, the Gambia, maintained that while African government funds research, it does not center it on specific research that has impact on the people.
To have different network in all parts of Africa, and this was why this was 4 networks was created, and one of them is the WANETAM, West African Network on TB, AIDS, and malaria. So it's easy to understand the aim was really capacitate researchers in Africa to be able to conduct clinical trials in a very standardized way and having the capacity through training and capacity building.
So specifically on malaria, we've highlighted the work that has been done by our colleague Professor Halidou Tinto in Burkina Faso in working through to conduct trials on a malaria vaccine that has recently been rolled out by WHO. And the platform is there to enable institutions from across the West Africa sub-region to be able to conduct similar clinical trials in their countries.
You do a focus training. Let people make the announcement and people come actually to the center for the training with a draft of a proposal for grants. So that within a week or two, actually, you can improve on that. And then you come out with a draft that can be submitted for consideration that is comparable to what you see elsewhere.
Our coming here in Nigeria is to say to Nigerian guy also, we have still mobilized to have more people with us, scientific people with us, to combat against the diseases and to train more people face for these diseases.
What we are hoping for is to bridge the challenge of receiving direct funding from our government to support us to investigate our diseases, to support us to develop new investigation, new interventions against our own diseases and be able to change lives in Africa. That's what we need.
Underdevelopment may continue to stare Nigeria in the face unless the country applies the proper steps and consistency with political will to implement its development plans, which are well in tune with its aim for growth. A professor of economics from University of Lagos, Professor Simon Akinleye, who x-rayed Nigeria's many development plans since pre-independence era to post-independence period, concluded that the development plans and policies have not been matched with implementations. Speaking on the topic, Going Somewhere from Somewhere, the unending search for economic development in Nigeria by the Lagos State branch of the Nigerian Institution of Surveyors, Professor Akinleye identified poor infrastructure as a militating factor to the country's development. He said Nigeria lacks development despite its advantage of huge population compared with other African countries, noting that Nigeria needs to live up to its claim as the giant of Africa. The University Don made reference to the country's gross domestic product, GDP, which according to him has not helped the quest for development despite the lofty goals put in place.
Gender and equality basically means you are able to bring more people into the economic decision making and into the economic activities of the nation. So it's very important to unleash that potential. Health, well-being, and demography. I'm not going into the details, but all of these are in the full paper. So this is my roadmap for a sustainable development. That's 1.7 million barrels per day. Qatar produces 1.7, Nigeria produces 1.7. What is Qatar versus Nigeria? What's Nigeria's population? 213.4 million. What is Qatar's population? 2.7 million people.
It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So it's a work in progress. But every citizen has one thing or the other to contribute, whichever sector you find yourself, whichever area, any profession. You know, we here are surveyors predominantly, but this lecture speaks to the contribution of citizens and the response of citizens to government reform agenda.
Add our GDP to similar countries in Africa, compared it to Qatar, where we earn almost the same from oil, and he has just laid bare the issues at hand. So I think it's left for all of us who have listened now. We also go home and plan in our families.
The Waste Management Society of Nigeria, WAMASN, has congratulated Lagos State Government and the Ministry of Environment for eradicating environmental pollution by banning the use of styrofoams and other single-use plastics due to their non-biodegradable nature and environmental menace. WAMASN, in a statement signed by its Lagos Councillor, Bolahon Yusuf, said the ban was necessary to ensure its sustainability and consequently prevent the creation of new challenges that will prevent full implementation. The society pointed that it's important to dialogue with critical stakeholders to forestall creating another problem while trying to solve one, adding that there's a need to be cautious and to avoid resistance considering the economic fragility of the country. WAMASN appealed to the Lagos State Government to provide approved and affordable alternatives, adding that it remains one of the best ways to institute a plan. The District Governor of Lions Club District 404B4 Nigeria, Lion Samson Abodunrin, has said the high rate of insecurity is not only peculiar to Nigeria, as it is a pandemic that has ravaged the global community. Speaking at the Lisabi 2024 Convention Press Conference in Abeokuta, Ogun State, Samson said that the club is contributing its quota in assisting the government to combat the insecurity in the country by empowering the youth through different programs and providing startup grants for farmers to aid food production. He said the low production of food and shortage occasioned by various crises, war, and insecurity that is ravaging the world need to be quickly addressed, adding that the productivity of anyone who is malnourished can't be effective in the economic development of the country. The district governor enjoined all Lions to remain focused in actualizing the goal and vision of Lions Club International by contributing their quota in assisting vulnerable Nigerians in various ways.
We believe that as the schools are resuming, a lot of families cannot pay ordinary money to buy exercise books. Some of the families did not have anything to eat over the night. The breakfast is not even discussable. Therefore, the Lions have decided that in our own little way, in addition of combating hunger, we take the plight of these children in heart, and in the last 180 days, we have